if there is anything that needs to be satirized and remixed, it is Trump talking about massive dumps. And by the way, extra points, if you can sample Trump saying massive dumps and me talking about it in a song, please do it.
Dumps. Big massive dumps. Dumps. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
Dumps. Dumps. Dump, dump, dumps, dumps, dump,
Dumps. Dumps.
dumps, dumps, dump, dump, dumps, dumps, dumps,
Dump. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
dumps, dumps,
Sir, you just
dump,
won.
dumps, dumps, dumps.
Dump. Big massive dumps.
Donald Trump insisted multiple times that it was massive dumps that led him to lose the election, which is just
on another level, on another level.
Dumps.
Dumps, dumps,
Sir, you just
dump,
won.
dump, dumps, dumps, dumps,
Dump. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
dumps, dumps,
Sir, you just
dump,
won.
dumps, dumps, dumps.
Dump. Big massive dump.
You turn the faucet on in areas where there's tremendous amounts of water, where the water rushes out to sea because you could have handling. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once. Quietly dripping.
Dumps.
Dumps, dumps,
Sir, you just
dump,
won.
dumps, dumps, dumps,
Dump. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
dumps, dumps, dump, dump, dumps, dumps, dumps.
Dumps.
what is going on here? What is going on here? It's just beyond parody. I mean, massive dumps cost him the election. What is going on here? What is going on here? It's just beyond parody. I mean, massive dumps cost him the election. What is going on here? What is
Dumps, dumps, dumps,
massive dumps that
Dumps.
dumps, dumps.
All right, I'm going to have to cut it early because I just have too much to get to today. Too much to talk about. It's a big, big day. What's up with my graphics? Where are my graphics? It's all, oh, there they are. That was weird. Welcome, everybody. I have everything from Jimmy from Philly videos to produce, fruit and vegetable questions today. I'll just get right into it. First things first, right before we went to when we went on spring break, we had a poll on the David Pakman Show community page. Who's your favorite regular caller? And Jimmy from Philly won over the Eggman, Pedro from Colombia, San Antonio troll, and Kansas troll. And I guess Jimmy from Philly found out about it, but he still hasn't figured out that the voicemail number he's been calling has been disconnected for 2 months. It's really weird. Check this out.
Jimmy from Philly. Wiped. So, one of my trolls told me that I want a poll on Pakman's YouTube. If you go to David Pakman and go to your community tab, Pakman put up a poll that said, who's your favorite regular call-in to the show?
Rugged your caller.
Of course, I won by 39%.
It's like, no, you didn't win by 39%. You won by 19.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. And let's face it, I haven't called the show since them 4 black fellows took my Trump signs, of which I did beat that case too. But that's kind of funny.
This is a poll he believes because he won it. Yeah, nicely done, Junk Saint. Beautifully done.
That's kind of funny. Oh, and another thing, I don't know how you people feel about it, but I am not getting the jab. It's just not going to happen. First.
All right. He's going into anti-vax. Anyway, so he did win. Later in the video, he says that the voicemail number is always busy. Like, it's not busy, Jimmy. You're just calling a number we haven't used for a long time. The only voicemail number now is 219-2-DAVID-P. He's calling the old call-in number. So there's Jimmy from Philly. Okay. Here's a produce question. I bought this this is not a Granny Smith apple. Okay. I bought this today at the grocery store. It was labeled an Ecuadorian dragon fruit. I'm into trying different dragon fruits, but when I went to the cash register, The nice young lady rung it up as a guava. Do I look like I was trying to buy guava? Okay, so can somebody tell me what this is? Is this a guava or is it an Ecuadorian dragon fruit? It's not a Granny Smith. Look at the top, okay? Doesn't really smell like anything. It's not guava. Guys, it's not a green tomato. It is a tropical fruit of some kind. It's either a guava or an Ecuadorian dragon fruit or something else. It's not ripe. I'm not going to open it now. I'd be willing to unveil this on a future stream. Oh, God, nobody knows. People say it's a tomato. It's not a persimmon, guys. It's not a persimmon. All right. Well, that was a waste of time. Anyway, you can email me if you know what kind of fruit that is. Super chats coming in. Do you recall your first meal you ate upon arrival to the U.S. from Argentina at age 5? No, I don't. No, I don't. You know what? Here's a funny story here's what I do remember from my arrival from Argentina. I knew like 3 or 4 words in English. I remember that at JFK Airport, I was running around and a woman said hello. And I was like, I know that word. I'm 1 for 1. Leaving the airport, the first thing I saw was a stop sign. And I was like, that's one of the words I know, stop. And when that happened, I knew I've got this. I'm going to be able to learn English because I'm recognizing everything I'm running into. Looks like an unripe guava to me, says Wendy. Sunil says it's a passion fruit. I don't think so. How can we pass voting rights legislation without SCOTUS striking it down? That's more of a topic for a YouTube clip, so I'm not going to do that right now. Chakaseki says, friendly PSA, beware of borderline illegal recurring donations to Pac-Man Pac, known as Pac-Man 21. Right. Right, Chakaseki. Absolutely. I also want to say thank you to some early Twitch subscribers. The Wilhelm Screen is now 16 months in. Caspa is 5 months in. Also, thanks to Odisseo, Skull Million, and Kimioyo. That is 5 Twitch subs right off the bat. Very much appreciate that. Honestly, no joke at all. Today's full episode of the David Pakman Show is one of the best in a long time. If you were a website member, in 4 minutes, you would have access to the following stories. The offer I received to become conservative and triple my salary. A big-time radio person came to me and said, you're good, but there's no money in being left-wing. If you go right-wing, like have an enlightenment, I could triple your salary for you. Okay. I tell that story today on the broadcast show, which you could have access to in 4 minutes if you were a member. Okay. Because this goes live for members in 4 minutes. That's going to be a weekend story otherwise. And what else? What was on today's show? Oh. I did an interview. People asked and I delivered. People said, David, interview a Republican. Go and argue with a Republican the way you used to do. I did it. It's kind of cringe. Okay. That's on today's broadcast show. As a member, you would get access 3 minutes from now. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait hours to days. Okay. Maybe I'll preview a little bit of this. And we also did what else did we do today? It's just a great show. I feel really strongly about today's show. All right. So that's that. Google green guava. Green guava images. Yeah, that's this, guys. This looks like this. That looks like what I have. This was labeled as an Ecuadorian dragon fruit, and I went with it. Ooh, that looks nice, though. Look at the inside. That is nice. All right, I'm going to wait for this to be ripe, and maybe I'll open it on a stream, because that looks pretty nice. That's not bad. I'll go back and try to get the Ecuadorian dragon fruit. We'll try to sort out what that was. Okay, so hold on. I can close this and this. Okay. Wonder if that guy was responsible for Rubin's classical liberal enlightenment. No. Well, he's not. That's something different. Okay. Unban requests on Twitch. None. So that's done. Nothing there. Okay. What else? Oh, you know what? Let's do a little bit of it. Let's look. Here's a preview. Here's this will be a good membership pitch. If you don't want to wait days for this full interview, here's where the topic of vaccines came up with Republican strategist Amanda Mackey. All right, you guys asked for this. You said start interviewing Republicans again.
United States, at the end of his term, there were 2 vaccines on the market, which I have always said, having, worked in healthcare policy as a healthcare attorney, I mean, that's nothing short of Nobel Peace Prize winning. And you can't say that it's not. Now, you can't just say that was all President Trump, but certainly pushing on all the levers to get that to market. He said that during the campaign season, and people laughed at him. People mocked him and said, there's no way, he's just lying. And in December, we were vaccinating people.
Well, but let's break that down a little bit, though, because there's a bunch of pieces there. So, okay, yes, Trump certainly funded the manufacture of vaccines, and he did the pre-purchasing of vaccines on spec before we even knew whether these vaccines were going to be approved. That's good. Any president would do that. I mean, to give him too much credit for that seems a little strange. But when you think about the trajectory, there were people saying December, it's never going to happen. In May, Goldman Sachs put out to the month an accurate prediction saying, based on the research that's being done around the world, we expect healthcare workers to start being vaccinated in November. And here's where I really am curious, like what exactly you think Trump did on vaccination, because the Pfizer vaccine was developed by Turkish immigrants to Germany. The Moderna vaccine was sequenced before Donald Trump even knew what was going on with the pandemic. So what exactly did Trump do on the vaccines? Maybe we can figure it out.
Well, I think just pushing on every lever of the government to get that done. I mean, Operation Warp Speed. Even Dr. Fauci's boss, Dr. Francis Collins of the NIH, has said that Operation Warp Speed deserves a lot of credit.
This gets much worse, just so you guys just prepare.
And so I think when you have a CEO, which obviously he was for many years, as president, there is just I think he had just a line of sight to make sure that this happens.
Listen, line of sight, pushing levers.
And you can say that, this was all in the works. Well, mRNAs have been studied for a decade. So yes, right. I mean, technically pharmaceuticals are always in the works. But pushing that through to happen in December, no one believed that.
But what did he do to push it?
And they mocked him for that.
Who did he push, though? What did he push?
Well, I can't say exactly what he pushed. It didn't work in the Trump administration. But what I can say is that when he said every day we're working through Operation Warp Speed to get this done, everything that comes together through the government, whether it's lifting regulations or making it easier to get through the chambers of government. I worked in Congress for, a decade, and it's not easy to just get through a very clunky federal government and bureaucratic system.
But Amanda, what regulations
ultimately resulted in vaccines?
You're going to have to give me something specific, because so far you said you don't actually know, but Trump said he was working hard, which often means watching Fox News and tweeting. What regulations were lifted to make this happen more quickly?
Look,
it's a verbal ink blot, what she's giving us.
Again, I'm not going to give specifics because I don't know exactly what he did, and he never said what he did.
Right, so you don't know he did anything.
I'm sorry?
You can't really say he did anything then.
I think that's absolutely false. Now, you can look back and say, well, he said this or he said that, and that wasn't true. But what the ultimate result was of these vaccines coming to market, I don't think you can deny that.
Deny which part? That the vaccines were made?
That the vaccines were made in record time. In record time, they were made. And I am sure that there are regulations that were lifted. There were things within the government that were done by this administration to ensure that happened with record speed. I mean, usually it takes a decade.
Not for mRNA vaccines.
And therapeutics to come to market.
Not for mRNA vaccines. All right, let's move on, Amanda, because so anyway, let's see if we can find like one other thing. Let me see here. Here's something on this is on COVID relief. It also was basically just as haywire. Remember, you guys asked for this. I don't need to be. I'm fine just doing my commentaries. People said, talk to Republicans.
Listen, I mean, he didn't pay attention to a single one of their interests, and it sounds like staff was involved in this.
Yeah.
So be it. The point is, if you want to look back on President Trump, he passed 5 coronavirus bills with bipartisan support, and President Biden didn't do that with bipartisan support.
But
He didn't
Amanda,
even care
that's
to do it
an
with
that's an
bipartisan
indictment of
support.
Republicans. That's an indictment. The fact you're absolutely right. When it was Trump saying we have to get money to businesses and the American people, Democrats didn't say we are going to deny this to Trump merely because he's in the other party because the American people need it. When Democrats said, okay, well, now it's us, we'll do a relief bill that's very similar to what Trump did, Republicans said, we're not participating at all. So what you've just said is arguably the biggest indictment of the obstructionist Republicans that I can
think you're
imagine.
misinterpreting what I said.
No,
or
I don't think so.
Using your own facts, because what I said is that the Republicans went to visit with President Biden,
Yeah.
and he dismissed everything that they said. He didn't take a single thing into account. He didn't even work with them. He didn't even come to the table and say, let's sit down and talk. They had
What
one
concessions
meeting,
did
and the
Trump
meeting
make
went
to
away.
Democrats?
And he largely blamed it on staff, as did Republicans, the staff saying, we're not interested.
But what concessions did Trump make to Democrats on the COVID bills?
Kennedy Center funding, certainly other pieces of the bill that ultimately the law that Republicans were raked over the coals for. I know
Kennedy Center,
was-
wasn't that like $3 million or something?
It doesn't matter. It's the fact that, this is what's interesting to me.
Yeah.
President Trump was impeached by the House. And then 3 months later, he has Nancy Pelosi sit down with.
Anyway, so I'm not going to play the whole thing, but that goes on for 20 minutes. That was by popular demand. People saying, David, interview some Republicans. So I did it. If you sign up for a membership, you would have access to that full interview right now because we've already put it out for our members. Otherwise, someday it'll be out. All right, guys. And I do want to say thank you. But speaking of memberships, Ryan Benson just signed up at joinpacman.com. Dylan Tinetti just signed up at joinpacman.com. Brent Williams just signed up at joinpacman.com. Jacob Young just signed up at joinpacman.com. That's 4 people, most of them using the secret unpublished coupon code Immoral21. Immoral21 is the secret coupon code. You might say, David, I don't know, it says Better 21. That's right. Because it's a secret coupon code, Immoral21. So that's good. Update. Do you guys want a Bongo meme update or do you want a sake bomb? Steve Peter Ducey collapsed today, figuratively, of course, during a press briefing. While you guys decide, I want to say thanks to Sheely Key Stitch for the Twitch sub. That's it, actually. That's the only one. Super chats. If Trump did anything, she'd know it. We all would. Yeah, I know. Fool in the Rain says, David, on the bonus several weeks ago, you talked about Latinx. Have you heard of gender neutral folks? I don't understand how we can make an already gender neutral word more gender neutral. I haven't heard of folks. As a Hispanic male myself, I don't use Latinx. I use I don't use it, and we've talked about it already. Okay, very good. Stephen Hart says, David, did you see the new clip on Right Wing Watch's Twitter about how COVID nasal swabs are going to turn us into flesh-eating zombies? No. Can someone email me that clip? I'll cover it on the show tomorrow. If someone can email me, COVID nasal swabs will turn us into flesh-eating zombies, I will cover that on tomorrow's show. Let's do bongos. This is the new contest. I have 10 memberships to give away for show-related remixes of this video. Love it. Okay, so we have some submissions I showed you yesterday. Here is the newest one. This is the newest submission. So I guess the thing is here, this is one of those games like what, Dance Dance Revolution or like Nintendo Wii type games. DDR, yeah. That's basically it. That's the concept. Here's another one. This is a good one. People found this one a little disturbing yesterday. All right, that's another submission. Here's one from Shiro. Okay, and then here's one more.
Crime rave.
I love the poorly educated.
I don't totally get this one, but then I think it's towards the end. I pop up real quick.
Enjoy yourself.
Overall, I think the first 44 seconds are flat, but then the last 3, where I gavel into an explosion, is pretty good.
Enjoy yourself.
There it is. And then here was the first submission we received.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
It was a perfect storm, really.
Welcome to San Francisco, Mr. Wachowski.
Again, I think the only funny part of this one is me with the gavel.
And are incredible. Oh, these people don't know what the hell they're doing. Let me recover my ears for 1 second.
So those are the 5 submissions so far. I have 10 memberships to give away. So far, it's like everybody's going to get a membership. Get yours in. Ideally, do YouTube uploads and then send me the YouTube link. That's the best way to go. A few other new members to announce and welcome. Danielle Butler just signed up at joinpacman.com. Danielle, thank you. Perfect membership. Yitzhak Gordon, new member at joinpacman.com. Thank you, Yitzhak. And also Don Sharp signing up at joinpacman.com, putting us at 13. Lastly, thanks to Chief Boris 007 for signing up via Twitch. Very, very much appreciate that. Oh, sorry, guys. Hold on a second. I need to ban someone. Banhammer on Twitch. You're not going to get anti-Semitic stuff by me in Spanish. Someone just sent a Spanish message. The spam filter caught it, saying, you're a shitty Jew, son of a bitch, and you deserve colon cancer, son of a bitch. They've been banned. The message didn't even get through. That's sad. Really, really sad. Okay. Boruch Rudd says, your bongos contest has sent me into a YouTube spiral. Long story short, I now know almost all the words to the original Levon Polka song. I don't speak Finnish at all. Bongo remix idea to talented folks. Put Cat Trump Biden into Beat Saber background plus David with squeaky gavel. I don't know what any of those things mean. Thoughts on Steven Crowder's banning? Where has Crowder been banned? I don't even know about Steven Crowder being banned. Tells you how much I'm aware of his online presence. Where was he banned from? Anybody know? On YouTube, supposedly. He's not banned, some people are saying. Suspended? Okay. He had his tweets removed? I don't know. I mean, do you guys remember that moment where I pretended not to know Crowder thinks of himself as a comedian? Let me see if I can find it. Joe Rogan, Pacman, Crowder. Let me see here. Joe Rogan. Let's see if this is it. I don't know. See if I can find it.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
That's the thing, right? It's like, are you responsible for the people who also comment on your post? And this is where.
Oh, this is a 26-minute. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the moment. If someone can just tell me the time code in this clip, Joe Rogan reacts to YouTube demonetizing Crowder, where Rogan explains to me that Crowder is a comedian, I'll come back to it. But it's we just don't have time for a 26-minute clip because we're up against a major announcement from Joseph R. Biden Jr. about another 2-week advance on wide open vaccination. Wide open. Okay. So we're caught up on super chats, which is great. Will I do a hot tub stream? I don't even know what that means. I don't have a hot tub. Thanks to Cybrid for the Twitch sub. You are number 15. Very much appreciate that. Would I open phone lines? Yeah. If we get to 100 members or Twitch subs, we're only 85 away. I'll open phone lines right after the Biden event. And somebody could just dump in 85 gifted subs, or we could do it one by one. But yeah, no, I'm more than willing to open up phone lines. David, if you had to pick between approval, ranked choice voting, or another kind of voting system, which would you pick? I'm a sort of leaning towards single transferable vote. And I've got a bunch of YouTube clips about this. Many YouTube clips. Check those out. Maria Kirkola has just signed up at joinpacman.com and is new member number 16. Here is, oh yeah, check this out. Check this out. This is Steve Peter Ducey trying to do something, and it doesn't go well.
Is the White House concerned that Major League Baseball is moving their All-Star game to Colorado, where voting regulations are very similar to Georgia?
Well, let me just refute the first point you made. First, let me say, on Colorado, Colorado allows you to register on Election Day. Colorado has voting by mail, where they send to 100% of people in the state who are eligible applications to vote by mail. 94% of people in Colorado voted by mail in the 2020 election. And they also allow for a range of materials to provide, even if they vote on Election Day, for the limited number of people who vote on Election Day. I think it's important to remember the context here. The Georgia legislation is built on a lie. There was no wide.
So anyway, he tries to pull a gotcha type game with Jen Psaki, and she anticipated it and was prepared. And on the show tomorrow, there's actually way more substantive difference between the law in Colorado and the law in Georgia. Now, it's true that if the law was the same in Georgia and Colorado, and you just moved the All-Star game from Georgia to Colorado, it would be kind of stupid. The idea is a good one. He's just wrong on the facts. Very, very wrong. Completely. And we'll go into detail about that tomorrow. And then lastly, here is Fox News, very much against cancellations, running a scroll of businesses they want to cancel.
Let's look at the list. Other companies and organizations that have criticized the Georgia voting law.
Look at this.
We're not saying that they're boycotting, but they're criticizing. And that's where these things
Fox News is naming names.
Sometimes can start. I say sometimes, we can't tell the future.
Look at this list.
But Joe, from what you're saying, Atlanta, all of Georgia can be hurt by these decisions. And I want to point out, who did their homework on Denver? Who did their homework on Colorado? Compare the voter laws. Is there ID required on this?
Yeah.
Let's look at.
So anyway, same stupid stuff on Fox News going on. We'll have coverage of that. The Swirl Experience just asked via a really, really strong super chat, David, why haven't you discussed the Matt Gaetz scandal? We were on vacation when the scandal broke, and I find that it doesn't really make sense to go back and cover old news when we get back from break. But today we did cover Matt Gaetz because child sex trafficking does carry a potential life in prison sentence. So we talked about what he's actually up against. And I kind of refreshed the entire story on today's podcast. Again, if you are a member, you already have access to today's full show with all of this stuff on it. Otherwise, the clip will be out later today. Thanks to Justin Hanna for subscribing at joinpacman.com. Thanks to Andre Ruth for signing up at joinpacman.com. Thanks to Teresa Durkee as well as our newest member, Nancy Bernhard Esty, all of whom just grabbed perfect memberships at joinpacman.com. Also want to say thank you to Auntie Yulicha, as well as Akira Loves Ruji, MTDTS, Keon Pepper, all who just grabbed memberships at joinpacman.com. Thank you very much. Yeah, and there's also, like, I got a few emails from people implying that there was some reason I was deliberately not covering the Matt Gaetz scandal. Like, why? Why wouldn't I cover that? So why are we even here today? We are here because Joe Biden he's expected to announce that even though he has already moved up the date at which everyone becomes eligible for a vaccine to May 1st, he is going to move it up an additional, let me see, how much would this be? May 1. What month is it? Oh, it's April. He's going to move it up an additional almost 2 weeks to April 19th. April 19th, we are expecting everybody will be eligible. Vaccinations are highly explosive right now. As you can see here, we now are averaging 3.05 million doses per day. About 1% of the American population is getting a dose every single day. We are starting to see cases turn back around after this just little bump that took place. They're coming back down. Deaths, fortunately, continue to go down. I believe that by Memorial Day, May 31st, we are going to have significantly better looking numbers than we have right now. So the announcement we're expecting momentarily from Joe Biden is moving up by about an additional 11 or 12 days, the date at which everyone will become 16 plus will become eligible for a vaccine. Fnug Garongler is telling me that I mispronounced their name yesterday. I apologize for that. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. And, hold on. I'm being told that I do have some unban request adjudications to do. No, I don't see any. I don't believe I do. I'm not seeing any, guys. Yeah. The person I just banned for the Spanish anti-Semitism has not requested an unban. They seem to know that they're not getting one. Yeah, so that's not going to happen. Okay, did anybody find the time code of the Crowder is a comedian moment in this clip? I think I missed it if someone sent it to me. I was trying to find the moment where I pretend not to know that Crowder is supposedly a comedian. Anybody? Nobody knows. I could have sworn it went by and now I can't find it in the chat. I got Moderna, for people asking me which vaccine I got. Yeah, so yesterday's bonus show, I actually think I wasn't joking. Yesterday's bonus show is I think it's the most watched bonus show. It's at 7:30. Okay, we'll go in a second. Yesterday's bonus show is the most watched bonus show I believe we've ever had. I tell the story of my run-ins during spring break with anti-maskers, with a deep nose swab, and a whole bunch of other stuff. All right, let's listen.
Yes.
That's fundamentally what it is.
But as a company, they have a left-wing bias.
I don't know that. In what sense?
Well, in the sense that the woman who's the CEO of YouTube has talked about it pretty openly, like the fact that she doesn't. What was it that she had gotten into? Well, first of all, it was the James.
Is it? I mean, I started at 7:30. Is this the right? It doesn't seem like that's what. Let's see.
Demore thing. She was talking about the Google memo, and she was talking about how it was.
Yeah, other people are telling me it's way after this. Yeah, I don't know why everyone's saying it's 7:30. That was the 7:30 moment. Is there another time code I could try? Oh, different clip. Well, I said in this clip. Which clip is it in? 1340. Now someone says, let's see.
Everyone should have the freedom of expression. And that as long as you're not doing anything illegal, you're not putting anyone into danger by giving up their address or doxing them or something along those lines, or making overt physical threats,
right,
that you should be allowed to do that, because that's what the freedom of the speech is all about. And freedom of speech, when you eliminate social media in this country, is your freedom
not here
is
either.
basically just yelling out in public. I mean, we're in this weird place.
It's a
as
weird
a culture.
place.
As a culture, it's
all right. So it's not there. It's just not there. Like, is it even that funny to give me the wrong time codes? I don't know. Yeah, it's frustrating. I agree. No, we're still waiting for Joe Biden. Nobody's missed anything if you're just joining us. So listen, guys, the clip is Joe Rogan reacts to YouTube demonetizing Steven Crowder. 1740. All right. Let's try 1740.
See what I'm saying? It's a sneaky kind of regulation. It's a regulation that's enforcing the First Amendment and the people's ability to freely express themselves. If we're admitting, or if we're agreeing that we are entering into this new world,
yes,
where this is, that's my position, is it is a town square, and I feel like everybody should be able to communicate. The really unfortunate, unsavory aspect of it is when someone gets harassed, like Carlos Mesa was because of this, where people are sending him all these homophobic tweets and all the, I mean, he's getting text messages and all this shit. That's the unsavory and unfortunate aspect of it.
I mean,
How do you stop?
All right, so that's not it either. I don't know. I don't need anybody sending me a link. Just tell me what the time code is. People posting links like crazy. It just happened. We just went through 1750. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, chat. I guess it's just not going to work. People give me the wrong time code. I want to say thanks to Lori Catizzoni for subscribing at joinpacman.com and Bertha Macias at joinpacman.com. We continue to see a trend where overall, like all shows like mine, our membership and our viewership skews male. But in terms of people who sign up for memberships during live streams, it's overwhelmingly women. It's crazy. Other than Stephen Koffer, who just signed up and is new member number 27. Also want to say thanks to Darasum Nebelin for subscribing via Twitch. Very much appreciate that. Denver McCarthy says, David, I got the J&J vaccine and my David Pakman mug today. Can you imagine? That's great to hear. Yeah, we turned off all apparel sales on our website during the virus because the fulfillment was just off the wall. The manufacturers of our stuff were closed, then they would ship it and the shipping would take 4 weeks. I basically became a shipping clerk, so we shut it all down. It's all back open, and I'm glad to hear people are getting their mugs and all of their different stuff. Great to hear. And that's right. We have a new logo. So the logo down here is the one that's still on all of our apparel. The logo back there is the new logo. We're in the process of updating all apparel to have the new logo. So you are at some point no longer going to be able to get the old gear. They'll all, in a sense, they'll be like collector's items. So that's exciting. Big thank you to Guitar Goddess for gifting 10 subs and signing back up herself. That's 10 plus 1 is 11. 11 plus 28. 8 plus 1 is 9. 3 plus 1, 39. Putting us at a really, really great number. Man, this user Jay the Truth is pasting links like 20 times, and the links are blocked on Twitch. So I don't know what is going on with that. Can a moderator maybe send me the link or something? I mean, it can't be this tough to just figure out where. I mean, it's like at this point, it's no longer even funny when I pretend not to know Steven Crowder is a comedian. Dan Crenshaw said he would go on the record that he's impressed by Joe Biden if he could get 200 million Americans vaccinated in 100 days. It may happen. Okay, 2105. 2105. Let's see here. 2105.
believe a lot of weird things and want other people to conform to those weird things. And we sort of have to decide. Like, that's why I'm bringing up this Crowder thing. Like, do I think that what he said was good? No, it's not nice to call someone a little lispy queer. It's not nice. It's kind of mean, you know, and especially when that guy wasn't even engaging with him, but he's making fun of him. He's a comedy show. He's mocking them. So the question becomes like, when is that mocking considered homophobic and when is it just ribbing, right? And that's his position. His position is that it's just ribbing.
This is the problem with a discussion that is only about the principles. So like a lot of our conversation for the last 15 minutes has been, what is our principle about what types of business regulation is okay for the government to do and is not okay?
Right.
Or when we talk about free speech, do we have a principle of anything short of illegal content versus something that is more strict? The reality is that there's a more gray area than that.
We're trying to sort of regulate the way people communicate with each other. So it's not. It's like if someone said that to someone in a bar, a cop would not.
Is my reaction coming up?
Arrest them. Like, yeah, you lispy little queer. You know, that would be like, oh, that guy's an asshole.
But the bar would be perfectly within their legal right to say, we don't want you in here. You're making our customers uncomfortable. And nobody would say that it would be against the law for the bar to say, you got to go.
That's a good point. If they were doing it to their face. But what if he was in a corner talking about this guy that wasn't there? And he was saying, yeah, so he's talking about Antifa, this lispy little Mexican queer. If you came along and decided to kick the guy out of the bar then.
It would, I mean, listen, at some bars, if you go into the corner and you yell about a lispy Mexican queer, they're going to ask you to leave, and it still would not be illegal, and the bar would still not be doing anything wrong.
Right, but that's a bar, right? That's a private business where people are physically there.
Yes.
Isn't there a difference between that and something like YouTube, which again falls more in line with like a town square?
Maybe that's what we need to revisit, because so much human communication is now happening across these platforms.
I would imagine most of it.
Or most of it. We need to maybe stop drawing this arbitrary distinction that in person is a completely different thing than over the internet. I mean, maybe it's not increasingly. Maybe it's more the same.
Yeah. So I'm torn here, right? On one side, I say, well,
all right. The joke maybe was before. Let's go back a little bit.
People the ability to censor based on their political ideology or based on what they feel is offensive, where other people don't. It's a slippery slope, and I think that can lead to all sort. Look, that woman. What is her name again?
The one who
tried to get you fired?
Amy Siskind.
Imagine her being in charge of a social media platform. She tried to get you fired from Boston College for something that was incredibly polite.
Right.
That is what I'm talking about, is that very action, that very same type of thinking that she tried to impose on you. That's what I'm worried about.
Well,
and I'm worried about people that are really strictly trying.
Yeah, all right. You know what? It's like this was 20 minutes ago anyway. I think most people don't even know what I'm looking for now. So we're just gonna get off of it. I'm officially calling the search over for that. The search is over. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you to Simone Bean for signing up at joinpacman.com. Thank you to Mark Frankum for signing up at joinpacman.com. Thanks to Craig Neblett for the membership. Thank you to Austin Skoog, as well as Greta Hoxie. 5 new members at joinpacman.com. Very much appreciate that. And yes, phone lines will open if we get to 100 or if we get to 1,000 Twitch subs. David, at this point, you may as well have watched the whole podcast. Yeah, I should have just started at the beginning of the 3-hour episode with Rogan and watched the whole thing. I probably would have found it by now. That's true. A couple people are asking for more clips from the Republican I interviewed today. I'd look at another clip. Let me see if I can find it real quick. By popular demand, I interviewed a Republican strategist today. And I looked at a couple of clips earlier. Some of you found them frustrating. Let's look at another section here. I don't know. Let's just pick it up somewhere in the middle and see what's going on. We've debunked. I've debunked that extensively. I don't want to jump into that. So let's not jump into that. In the few minutes we have left, what is the policy right now that you think Republicans should be focusing on? What policy? Now, I know you're saying, well, they don't control anything right now. Okay, fine. But when Trump controlled everything, you still had Democrats proposing things and saying, this is what we would like to see. What are the main policy points you think would be advantageous to the Republican Party right now to be working on?
Well, the Republican Party can't work on anything right now. It would have been nice if the Democrats proposed an actual infrastructure bill because, as you know, infrastructure is a key word for bipartisanship.
Where do they all have the exact same talking points? Right.
But when you have a bill that's introduced that even Democrats can't agree on, where the majority of it is not for actual roads and bridges.
But this isn't my question.
I'm sorry?
I didn't ask anything. I'm just saying, what should be the policy priorities of Republicans?
Well, if Republicans were in control, I think that lowering healthcare costs should be an important demonstration of their efforts to help Americans. Especially after the last year, Americans have consumed a lot of healthcare. So making sure that, whether it's deductibles, out-of-pocket costs are not prohibitively expensive for Americans, and certainly making sure drug costs come down. I think you can work in a bipartisan way on that. Look, I know immigration is the third rail of politics, but we have got to revisit our immigration policies.
Right.
When you our immigration policies are tailored towards the 1990s mentality of, well, you have people coming from Central America and Mexico to the United States to work, adults. You don't have 7-year-olds walking over by themselves. You don't have these coyotes, dropping these kids over the fence. That's the new normal in our immigration. And if Republicans and Democrats don't tackle this, that's going to have a huge impact on the United States and workers in the United States. We still have high unemployment numbers. And if we're allowing mass migration to happen and not doing anything to enforce the borders, we're going to have problems in all 50 states.
So healthcare and immigration would be your priorities if Republicans could get things done right now?
I think they just need to sit down and reevaluate the situation. I mean, what's happening right now is that you have coyotes bringing children.
Anyway, it was a lot of just kind of going on and on. So I don't know. People said I should do more of those. And so we did one. I don't know that we learned. It's like I've already reported on all these bullet points. Like we already debunked. We talked about the seasonality of people coming over the border. We talked about the absurdity of saying most of the infrastructure proposal isn't about infrastructure. Like, I can't debunk it all in that setting. And so I just don't know, they're using the talking points we know. For people asking for a link to that interview, if you are a member, hello, it's on the member portal right now. If you're not, there is no link yet because we've not published it yet. All right. So that's that. Super chats coming in. Steven says, same for most right-wingers. No understanding of economics, history, geopolitics, or social issues, just regurgitating talking points. It's quite sad. Yeah, that's basically what the interview was. I mean, it was kind of, I don't know, is it worth us scheduling the interview and just to then do that, where it's we've already pre-debunked all of those talking points and segments. You guys tell me. I'm glad to do it. It's sort of fun in a way. The interviews get spread and your arguments convince the other side. I don't know that that's the case. I genuinely don't know if that's actually going on. I'm open to that idea. But I just am not, I'm just not sure about that. If it were the case, I would be doing a lot more of it. Yeah, that's for sure. It's worth it because nobody else challenges them. I guess, I don't know. David Chadman says, dunk on her harder next time. I don't know. It's worth doing them if you can get a gotcha moment. I mean, I think here the gotcha moment was where she just admitted she couldn't name anything about vaccines, right? It was right around here.
Regulations that were lifted. There were things within the government that were done by this administration to ensure that happened with record speed. I mean, usually it takes a decade.
Not for mRNA vaccines.
And therapeutics to come to market.
Not for mRNA vaccines. All right, let's move on, Amanda, because I do have other things I want to talk about. But if at some point there's something specific you can tell me Trump did, rather than just he was claiming that he was doing stuff, we will report it.
It's not about claiming. I mean, even when the NIH head, like I said, who is Dr. Fauci's boss, said Operation Warp Speed deserves credit,
Yeah.
he didn't say Pfizer deserves credit. He said Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed was a function of the Trump administration.
Yes. Now, the 2 vaccines that were first approved weren't part of it. They did pre-purchase vaccines, but fine. Okay, good. So, yeah. Okay, good. So anyway, that's that. I don't know. We'll see if we do more of it or not. We're standing by for Joe Biden. He's now 23 minutes late, but we are standing by for it. Other super chats coming in. Was the girl in the interview you just played using a green screen? Yes, she was. Yes, she was. Christian says, hey, David, I was wondering if you heard about local elections coming up within the next month or so. In Fort Worth, we have an important mayoral seat, Texas 6, to replace the late Ron Wright, who died from COVID in January. No, I'm not. I don't know what's going on with Fort Worth mayoral, I admit. And I will check into that other race. A lot to keep up with. Will we have herd immunity by early May? No, I don't think we'll have herd immunity by early May, but I think we will have more than enough vaccination at that point that cases will be going down significantly. Fool in the Rain says, I think in the viewing Republicans is interviewing, I guess they mean, Republicans is important because it may convince some who are on the fence. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. I don't know. You know, as I said before, for better and worse, these types of interviews are basically just exercises in rhetoric. You know, like you're not really going to get in a 20-minute interview all of the facts out and a full hearing of the facts. It's basically just an exercise in rhetoric. I was prepared for the tired talking points she would present. She didn't have anything better or different to present. And so the outcome is sort of predictable. But it's really an exercise in rhetoric rather than an evaluation of the data in a sense. And so, you know, I've talked with Vaush about that on the program before, and make of it what you will. To some degree, it's valuable. To some degree, I question the value of it. Okay. We are standing by for President Joe Biden, who is going to give us what we believe is going to be an announcement that he is moving up full eligibility for COVID vaccines from May 1st to April 19th. That's going to be about 10, 11, 12 days sooner than previously announced, which was already an exciting date, May 1st. Vaccine rollout continues to accelerate, and it's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. Let's see if anybody else is live yet. Not quite yet, but it looks like this will be starting soon. The sign language translator. Is sign language, is it called a translation when you're going from English to American Sign Language, or is it interpretation? Anybody know? No? Sounds like someone's walking up here. It's an interpreter. Here we go.
Beautiful outside. We should be doing this outside. Good afternoon, everyone. I just visited a vaccination clinic in Virginia at the Virginia Theological Seminary in Alexandria, Virginia. The seminary and other houses of worship in the area are partnering with the community health centers to offer vaccination and vaccination sites. They're seeing these kinds of partnerships, and not just there, but we're seeing them all over the country. People are coming together across different faiths to serve those most in need, with special focus on vaccinating seniors from all races, backgrounds, and walks of life. It's an example of America at its finest, and they're all meeting what Pope Francis calls the moral obligation. Get vaccinated, something which can, he went on to say, can save your life and the lives of others. And I was at the seminary clinic to mark an important milestone as well. Yesterday, we crossed 150 million shots.
Wow.
In 75 days, the first 75 days of my administration.
Strong.
On our way to hitting our goal of 200 million shots by the 100th day in office.
Nice.
That, of course, is the new goal I set after passing the original mark of 100 million shots in my first 100 days, doing it in just 58 days. At the time, some said 100 million shots was too ambitious, and then they said it wasn't ambitious enough. well, we got to keep moving. If we could raise it up higher, I'd do that as well. But we know what we have to do. We have to ramp up a whole-of-government approach that rallies the whole country and puts us on a war footing to truly beat this virus. And that's what we've been doing, getting enough vaccine supply, mobilizing more vaccinators, creating more places to get vaccinated, and we're now administering an average of 3 million shots per day, over 20 million shots a week. On Saturday alone, we reported more than 4 million shots were administered. We're the first country to administer 150 million shots and the first country to fully vaccinate over 62 million people. But here's the deal. I promise an update to the American people every 50 millionth shot. And I'm already back to update you a little over 2.5 weeks later.
Beautiful.
I promised in the beginning that I'd always give you the straight scoop, straight from the shoulder, the good and the bad. Well, here's the truth. The good news is we're on track to beat our goal of 200 million shots in the first 100 days. More than 75% of the people over the age of 65 have gotten shots, up from 8% when we took office. That's a dramatic turnaround and critical because seniors account for 80% of all COVID deaths. To help support my goal of safely reopening the majority of K through 8 schools by my 100th day in office, I directed states in early March to make educators and child care workers eligible for vaccines and to get a goal of getting all who wanted the vaccination to be able to have one and to do it in the month of March. I'm pleased to report, according to CDC estimates, over 80% of teachers, school staff, and child care workers received at least one shot by the end of March. And that's great progress protecting our educators, our essential workers. And because our vaccine program is in overdrive, we're making it easier to get a vaccination shot. Last week, I announced that by April 19th of this month, 90% of all Americans will be within 5 miles of a vaccination site. And further good news is that we're getting more and more data on just how effective the vaccines are. Dr. Fauci recently cited 2 studies from the New England Journal of Medicine that found fully vaccinated care workers, healthcare workers, on the front lines had extremely low infection rates, less than 0.2% compared
Incredible.
to vaccinated healthcare workers.
Incredible
considerably
numbers.
higher infection rates. So we're making incredible progress. There's a lot of good news, but there's also some bad news. New variants of the virus are spreading and they're moving quickly. Cases are going back up. Hospitalizations are no longer declining. While deaths are still down, way down from January, they're going up in some places. So you might ask, everybody's asking, what does that mean? I understand that people may find it confusing, that the vaccination program is saving tens of thousands of lives, but the pandemic remains dangerous. Let me explain it in a single word: time.
Right.
Time. Even moving at the record speed we're moving at, we're not even halfway through vaccinating over 300 million Americans. This is going to take time. Remember, for a 2-dose vaccine, it takes weeks from the time you get your first one until you're able to get your second shot,
right,
which makes you fully protected. If you get your first shot next week in mid-April, you won't be fully protected until May, late May.
Late, yeah, very late.
If you get your first shot in mid-May, you aren't fully protected until late June. So look, now, on the one hand, June isn't that far away given how long this has been going on. But it isn't here yet either. So, the virus is spreading because we have too many people who, seeing the end in sight, think we're at the finish line already. But let me be deadly earnest with you. We aren't at the finish line. We still have a lot of work to do. We're still in a life and death race against this virus. Until we get more people vaccinated, we need everyone to wash their hands, socially distance, and mask up in a recommended mask from the CDC. Think about it this way. Better times are ahead. And as I said before, we can have a safe, happy 4th of July with your family and your friends in small groups in your backyard. The real question is, how much death, disease, and misery are we going to see between now and then?
Right.
In January, just the month of January, we lost 95,774 Americans. In March, that was 37,172 Americans. All told, I keep doing this, I know, but I carry this card every day with my schedule on it. And the back, I have a COVID update. The total number of deaths in the United States to date is 554,064 dead.
Very different than Trump, who asked not to even be told what the number is.
That have been lost. What we do now is going to determine how many people we'll save or lose in the month of April and May and June before we get to July 4th. So please, until we're further along in this accelerating, successful, but still growing vaccination effort, please wash your hands. Practice social distancing. Wear a mask as recommended by the CDC. Get vaccinated when it's your turn. Well, while I'm asking Americans, the American people, to do their jobs, here's what I'm doing.
Right.
When we first started our vaccination program, there were real questions how quickly we could get shots in people's arms. Well, by the end of May, the vast majority of adult Americans will have gotten at least their first shot. That's success. That success is going to save lives and get this country back to normal sooner. But it's not enough. On March the 11th, I announced that I was opening up all vaccination sites to all adults by May 1st.
Here we go.
Many governors, Democrats and Republicans, responded and decided to beat that date, which was good. Thanks to their hard work and the hard work of the American people and the hard work of my team, I'm announcing today that we're moving that date up from May 1st to April 19th nationwide.
Wow.
That means by no later than April 19th, in every part of this country, every adult over the age of 18 or older will be eligible to be vaccinated.
Shots.
No more confusing rules.
It's
no
open.
More confusing restrictions.
13 days to go.
My message today is a simple one. Many states have already opened up to all adults.
Right.
But beginning April 19th, every adult in every state, every adult in this country is eligible to get in line to get a COVID vaccination.
Beautiful.
And today, in advance of that new national full eligibility date, I want to make a direct appeal to our seniors and everyone who cares about them. While we have made incredible progress vaccinating 3/4 of our seniors and putting vaccination sites within 5 miles of 90% of the public, it still isn't enough. It's simple. Seniors, it's time for you to get vaccinated now.
Today.
Get vaccinated now. To make it easier, my administration is sending aid to community groups to drive seniors to vaccination sites. We're incredibly grateful to all the volunteers, houses of worship, and civic groups that are helping us in this effort. This is America. We take care of one another. We have to keep it up. As I ask seniors to sign up for their shots now, I also have a message for people under 65.
Yep.
If you know someone over 65 who's not gotten this life-saving vaccine, call them now. Work with them to get their shots this week or next. Pick them up, drive them. It can be your parents, your grandparents, your aunt, uncle, your neighbors. And finally, even after we open up vaccinations to all adults and put a site within 5 miles of 90% of the public,
Right.
We know there are many people who still struggle to get access to a shot.
Or don't want it.
We know that there are a number of seniors and people with disabilities and people in many communities of color who may be isolated and lack access to transportation. That's why we're ramping up transportation to vaccination centers and deploying more mobile units and pop-up clinics in the places close to where people...
I'm literally banning anti-vaxxers as Joe Biden is announcing this.
...and other community groups to host vaccination clinics, sign people up for appointments, get help them get those appointments. That's why we're sending even more vaccines to community health centers like the one I was at today, that altogether serve nearly 30 million Americans, like the ones I visited today.
This is exciting enough that I may go back and get a third vaccine, just for kicks.
Or below the poverty level. 60% are racial and ethnic minorities. To reach them, we're investing nearly $10 billion to expand testing, treatment, and vaccinations for the hardest hit, yet most underserved communities. Let me close with this. We've vaccinated more people than any other nation on earth. The vaccines have proven to be safe and effective. That should give us real hope. But we can't let it make us complacent. Despite the progress we're making as a nation, I want every American to know in no uncertain terms that this fight isn't over. This progress we've worked so hard to achieve can be reversed. Now's not the time to let down. Now's not the time to celebrate. It's time to do what we do best as a country, do our duty, our jobs, taking care of one another. And we can and will do this, but we can't let up now. My hope is, before the summer's over, I'm talking to you all about how we have even access to more vaccines than we need to take care of every American. And we're helping other poor countries.
Right.
Countries around the world that don't have the money, the time, the expertise. Because until this vaccine is available to the world, and we're beating back the vaccine, the virus in other countries, we're not really completely safe. So we've made great progress. I'm still looking forward to the prospect that we keep the pace we're on and we listen to one another and take the precautions I talked about, that you'll be able to have a 4th of July, an Independence Day on July the 4th.
Right.
As I defined about 3 weeks ago. I want to have an Independence Day, an independence from the COVID. So you're able to get in the backyard with a small group of people, of friends and neighbors, and celebrate Independence Day because you've been vaccinated, because you're safe, because you're in the clear. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Mr. President, talks going, Mr. President, Indiana, how is Indiana talks going?
I'll report on that later.
Mr. President, do you think the Masters golf tournament should be moved out?
Did you hear that?
I think that's up to the
That's Steve Peter Ducey.
Masters. Look,
asking about golf.
You know,
kick him out.
It is reassuring to see that for-profit operations and businesses are speaking up about how these new...
I'll give you the question in a second, guys.
...are just antithetical to who we are. There's another side to it, too. The other side to it, too, is when they, in fact, move out of Georgia, the people who need the help the most, people who are making hourly wages, sometimes get hurt the most. I think it's a very tough decision for a corporation to make or a group to make. But I respect them when they make that judgment.
Dear God.
I support whatever judgment they make. But it's the best way to deal with this is for Georgia and other states to smarten up. Stop it. Stop it.
Cut it out.
It's about giving people two votes.
Oh, he's taking questions. I thought he wasn't able to take questions unscripted.
Were very reluctant to take the vaccine, especially in red states.
Oh, anti-vax question. Good.
Like advertisement on television, for example, to convince Americans to take that vaccine.
We
This is
are.
great.
We
This is
are
great.
doing that. And by the way, the number of people who are reluctant to take it continues to diminish.
True.
Continues to diminish across the country as they see their neighbors, particularly in communities that have been now there's a different group of people. There's a group of people who've been reluctant because of past, how can I say it, past wrongs that have been done to them, experimentation, not sure that they're being told the truth, etc. But then there's another group. It seems to me to be, I probably shouldn't characterize it, but Mitch McConnell keeps speaking to them.
Right.
I give him credit for. Right. Saying the idea, he said the polling data shows Republican men, particularly young men, don't think they should have to take the vaccine.
Yep.
It's their patriotic right not to do it, their freedom to choose. And he's saying, no, take the vaccine. Take the vaccine. And I'll add a phrase he didn't, but I think he believes. It's a patriotic responsibility you have.
Exactly.
Last question.
Mr. President, have you spoken to the Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell yet?
I have not.
Can you say why? Do you plan to speak to him?
I am not. Look, I think the Federal Reserve is an independent operation.
Right.
And starting off my presidency, I want to be real clear that I'm not going to do the kinds of things that have been done in the last administration.
He's killing this.
Talking to the Attorney General about who he's going to prosecute or not prosecute, and under what circumstances, or the Fed telling them what they should and shouldn't do, even though that wouldn't be the basis upon which I'd be talking to them. So I've been very fastidious about not talking to them, but I do talk to the Secretary of Treasury. Thank you all very much.
On COVID, Mr. President, you mentioned 554,064 American dead from COVID-19.
More Steve Peter.
Families want to know how this happened, how it got here. Have you
Trump.
had a chance to speak to any of your international partners?
Speak to the last guy.
I know you go way back with it. Have you had a chance to ask him if these reports are true that China maybe misled the world at the beginning?
No, I have not had that conversation with him.
So understand what just happened there, guys. First of all, Biden just started taking questions, wasn't scheduled to take a single question, but he did. All right. Steve Peter Ducey yells out. So Joe, just back it up for a second. Biden comes out and he says, okay, he didn't say this, but I'll say it. When he took over, we were vaccinating 800,000 people a day. We're now vaccinating 3.1 million a day, on the way to 4 million a day. We are about to open by an additional 12 days. We're going to accelerate eligibility. We're on the way to the majority of Americans having a first shot by May 31st. What a day. Mr. President, should the Masters golf tournament not be played in Augusta? Come on, guys. Come on. So that's Steve Peter Ducey, a complete and total clown. Just a couple other thank yous. Thanks to Ryan Avery for the website sign up, as well as Martin Uri, new members number 45 and 46. Very well handled by Joe Biden. Really great clips today on the show, including this nearly 20-minute interview by popular demand with a, quote, Republican strategist. That'll be out later. Members have access to it now. And I will see everybody probably tomorrow.